Welcome to the Driving Forward podcast. Whether you're joining us live or listening on one of our 18 platforms, including Wreaths Across America Radio, where we broadcast every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, we appreciate your support. Throughout the show, we invite you to share your comments and questions at any time. Your engagement fuels our discussion and helps us navigate the world of transportation and logistics together. We're coming off the Thanksgiving Day break. I had a 4-day weekend, and that was the first 4-day weekend I've had in some time. I'm sure a lot of you in transportation haven't had much time off in some time as well. And I did my best to disconnect. I have to admit, I did spend some time working, but I really stayed away from the computer as much as I could. Monday morning, I was a little sad to jump back in it, but we are in the holiday season, and we're all being scrappy right now, trying to bring home the year. Today, I'm very excited to have an absolute legend in transportation technology, or just generally in transportation, as my guest. Tom McLeod is the founder and owner of McLeod Software. A pioneer in the industry, Tom has dedicated his career to revolutionizing the way trucking, freight brokerage, and logistics companies operate. His company has not only stood the test of time, but continues to lead the industry in innovation. We'll dive into his journey, his perspective on the freight market, and where he sees transportation technology heading next. Tom, welcome to Driving Forward. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I don't know if I can live up to being legend. Really, in person, that's normally a letdown. I'm better as a myth or, somebody out there. Yeah. But it's great to be here today. Good to be with you.
Yeah, I truly appreciate you coming on. Going back to when I first entered the industry, I mean, my first TMS, honestly, was a card filing system. But then after that, it actually was McLeod. So this is a joy, and I've been in the industry nearly 30 years. So you've actually been a footprint in the industry longer. So this is going to be a lot of fun to chat about that. And, this is a treat to have this discussion. So I think we get started in the beginning here, and we really just talk about what inspired you to start McLeod and what the world looked like in transportation back then. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, it was really a pretty exciting time. It wasn't too long after deregulation, and there was a great deal of turmoil in the industry as LTO carriers were really consolidating. But truckload carriers were opening up by the hundreds. And at the same time, there was a technology disruption underway. Most of the companies were putting in computer systems for the very first time, and there was no off-the-shelf software. So it was just turned out to be a great time to start developing. Certainly today, it would be much harder to bootstrap a company than it was at that time. Although there was plenty of competition at that time. I kept track of competition, and I'm sure there were at least 100 little companies started just to address trucking and transportation. Now, of course, all industries were putting in software for the first time in large part. So it wasn't just trucking that was, getting underway. But we're very thankful that we had some great customers that kept us pushed in the right direction. Had some very bright people that came in to work with me and help get the work done, so that after 10 years we were recognized by Transport Topics as one of the top 3 software vendors to the trucking industry, and we've been able to continue that momentum. I'm just trying not to mess it up. We've got, as I say, great customers, and continue to have just wonderful software people with transportation experience that keep our products pushed in the right direction.
I think that's a perfect answer. And I mean, to put the date on it, just for everyone watching or listening, what year did you start McLeod?
Well, I had worked for a couple of years with a good friend who had an idea for LTL freight rating and to change the structure. So that's what got me really attached to transportation, reading Transport Topics and Traffic World, getting familiar with the industry. But when that idea stalled, my partner pulled out, and I developed the idea for dispatch and operations, freight billing, and driver payroll, where most of the action transactions happen within a trucking company. And that started in 1985. I can remember I was in the 3rd grade and needed something to do after school. And
Yeah. I actually was in the 3rd grade, probably. Okay. I was 8. I was 8. So,
all right.
But fair enough. Fair enough. I appreciate that. So the next, that's a good segue into this question then is, since 1985, then you said 10 years later, you were recognized as, one of the top 3 solutions in the space. And really, no matter how you look at it, you're, if not the top 3. I mean, we can always have that debate, whatever the case may be, but you're certainly, if not the top, one of the very top solutions in the space, and have maintained that now since the 90s. So what has kept you relevant for that long? That's hard to do. There's very few companies that come to mind that maintain relevancy for 30 years. So what has allowed you to do that? How have you been able to do that?
Yeah, I'm really grateful for the growth we've had. In 95, I remember in January, we had 35 employees and we had 200 customers, or close to 200 customers. Today, we have 600 employees and 1,200 customers. So it's been kind of a one thing leads to another story. So for me, the key is, focus on your customers. Pay attention to the customers. What are they needing? What are they looking for? What are their customers asking for? What are they going to need in order to compete for business? And what other products and services do they need access to? Since we become the central information system for our customers, it's very important that we maintain lots of connectivity to the other things that are going on. And that gives us early access many times to new technologies that are coming down the pike, and puts us in the middle of what's going on, but it also gives us a way to help our customers be more efficient. But we've developed a very open and collaborative software development process where we get regularly input from the market, but also our customer base. We've got influencer groups. We're bouncing ideas off of them. We've got many people that are, formerly have worked with trucking companies on our staff for training and development. So staying closely in touch with the issues in an industry that's not just one big homogeneous industry where everybody could use the same thing. There are really many little niche markets within the trucking industry, and understanding where you fit and being very careful to go when you go in after a certain segment to do it well and then deliver great service. There's so much nuance and variation to trucking operations. Very important to understand these the different niche markets that you're attempting to address and provide service that goes along with the product.
No, I think that's a great answer. I mean, really touching on what I would call, and I know a couple people listening are going to laugh at this, but the trifecta, which is listening to your customers, developing products that they're asking for, and then providing the great service to support the products that they're asking for. So
That's right.
And continuing to do that, copy paste, and here you are 40 years later, continuing the journey. So
Yeah. Well, certainly you've got to anticipate. We're in the technology business, so you've got to have some anticipation of what's coming down the pike, and be positioning and be ready for those new things when they come down. We've rewritten several times to accommodate new technologies as they come down the pike, and certainly as platforms change and the change in technology continues to accelerate. Very important to stay on the forefront. Thankfully, we've got a lot more development resource now than we've ever had before. So we're able to do more development and not keep up. You can't be on the forefront of everything. You still have to pick your slots, but we're able to do a whole lot more than we've done in the past, and thankfully to the benefit of our customers.
I think one of the to the benefit of the customer, how does that and we talked about this a little bit here already, but how does that customer feedback influence, or can you explain how that would influence? I think there's some recent updates to Loadmaster and Power Broker that have happened based on that customer feedback. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, initially our feedback loop consisted of our product team coming up with a list of the additional functionality that we would target to get into the next release. And then we would put that list in front of our customers and have them rank the items. And we are always very surprised at what they prioritize as the top items. And then we would change our development cycle in order to address those items first. So by going with the items that our customers identified as the top items, kept us really right in the middle of where we needed to be in terms of having the features companies needed to meet the demands of their customers. These days, we're spending a lot of time redesigning workflow, making the software more efficient, helping our customer have configurable workflows that benefit their particular operation. And so we're spending a lot of time with beta sites. We identify customers that are good at working with new technologies, who have the interest and the time to spend working on it, and who want to be up on the forefront of doing new things. And so we're getting a lot of direct input on the product, and really getting us very close to getting it right the first time, which is difficult to do with technology. But working directly with the customer, again, more beta site activity these days has helped us get very close to the mark and move things along more quickly.
So that's a good thought there. So working with those customers, are you seeing a lot of need for automation then? Is that kind of the new request from customers, is automation, addressing kind of faster with less labor intensive tasks? I mean, are you guys taking a role in that today?
Well, there's a lot of tools available these days that allow you to do more of that. And we've got a user configurable workflow engine within our product. We've got a lot of configuration settings. But really, for 40 years, that's been the purpose of the computer, is to come in and help automate tasks. My goodness, many of those early companies, we were replacing typewriters. I mean, how much more manual can you get? You go back a number of years before you get to where you were just handwriting the bill of lading. But so improvement in productivity and helping to automate, that's been a part of the vision since day one. Being able to put a piece of information in the computer system and then not having to put it in again, having it flow seamlessly where it needed to go in order to get the truck dispatched, get the freight bill printed, get the driver paid, and then ultimately get the financial statements done. Helping to automate that process has made trucking companies more efficient. And these days, we're getting even more tools that are letting us do that. And that's been the story really for 30 or 40 years, how we're incrementally making things better. We're improving visibility. We can talk about that from the operations point of view of how improving revenue per truck even has a bigger payoff than just automating the work that goes in the office.
That's actually something. So now now you're on to my topic. So revenue per truck, anytime, reducing cost in an office is one thing, but anytime you can hit operating revenue, whether it's increasing the revenue per truck or just showing opportunities where you can explore new business, seeing those things. And I remember when we were in Birmingham and looking at some of the tools that you had, and I kind of centered around any of those. I don't recall the name of them off the top of my head, and my apologies for that. But I always center on anything that increasing revenue for a trucking company by 1%, 2%, 3%. There is no return on investment that a company can achieve by cost reduction that is going to impact them by a top line increase in revenue of 3% versus how am I putting this? If you increase revenue by 3% without increasing costs, no software solution or anything is going to reduce costs that is going to impact anywhere near that. So when you come in and talk with customers saying, hey, I have a solution that's going to be able to allow you to see opportunities that you can't see today, those are the Oz level tools, that the man behind the curtain level tools. And we see some of those products today that are coming out in market. So can you talk a little bit about what you can do, or maybe some customers that you've worked with, and you don't have to name them, but some use cases that have come up where you've had that happen?
Yeah, we've put a lot of emphasis on providing visibility, and sometimes, as I say, serving up the right information to the right person at the right time, so that they're making better decisions. We have an alerts module that lets the user see when an exception is happening and deal with the exceptions, rather than having to continue to comb through the information looking for an event that needs attention. Same way with some of the mobile communication integrations, being able to determine, hey, is the truck going to be on time? How can we work to keep the truck rolling? How can we respond more quickly to the driver, so we're increasing his revenue? We're increasing our service levels to the customers. I did have a fairly large customer who had sold to a conglomerate recently come and tell me that after they changed systems, he said if he'd had our system ahead of time, he might not have sold his company, because he just didn't have the visibility. And he was using one of the popular systems many companies use today. But he said he just couldn't see what was going on with our system. He could see where the needs were, where the opportunities were, and was able to keep trucks moving and increase their the revenue per truck. And that pays for several computer systems when you can do that with the information.
No, absolutely. Yeah, those use cases are just amazing when you can roll out and impact companies on their top line revenue, or just create the opportunity for that frontline user to see what needs to be done, versus have them mine the information that's in a solution to go find what needs to be done. So prompting people with what needs to be done, I think is there. So
yeah, we
were
provide
you going to say
tools
something?
to be able to locate the nearest load to minimize deadhead. We are able to show you with a load plan where you've got too much dwell time, and you've got an opportunity to tighten up the plan to keep the truck rolling. We've integrate full functionality for driver requests for time off, and the other events where a driver may need to be routed through specific locations, so that you're keeping driver satisfaction higher. making it better for operations, and that's where much of the payoff is. Certainly, we want to be efficient on the billing side, on the settlement side, and the back office, but that front line is where the action is, and that's where we spend most of our time.
Great, great. So let's move into a little bit of insight on the current freight downturn, and step away from the technology discussion just for a minute. You've been around, like you said, you jumped into the industry just post deregulation a little bit. What's your perspective? So I've been in the industry just shy of 30 years. So I worked with a lot of guys that came through deregulation. Actually, I'm talking with somebody who I might bring on the show here soon, who ran trucks through deregulation and following that. But what's your perspective on the current freight downturn? Do you see that there's going to be a recovery? What's your prediction of the future?
Well, for me, it's purely a matter of too many trucks on the road, causing freight rates to be on the floor. Freight is such a market-driven, dynamic balance between the available capacity and the available freight, and it's very cyclical. Anytime there's too many trucks, freight rates are going to go down. Anytime there's too much freight rates are going to go through the roof. Usually it only takes 1 year to get back to a kind of an equilibrium. This year we're closing in on 3 years of overcapacity and rates being on the floor. And to me, it's purely about overcapacity. There's really a reasonable amount of freight being shipped. The consumer is spending all they've got, and the economy is 70% driven by consumer spending. But unemployment is still very, very low. Consumer debt is at an all-time high. They've already spent more money than they've really had, and that's a requirement for freight to increase. I don't expect to see freight increase. What we've needed is for some of this excess capacity that came in 2018 and then again in 2021, 2022, when freight rates were up through the roof. Some of that capacity just needs to exit the market. Now, part of the reason that it's been prolonged is the shippers felt like they got gouged in 2018 and then again 2020, 2021, because of the capacity shortage and rates, especially spot rates, going through the roof. So many of them were able to get through their committee an expansion of the private fleet. And there's been a tremendous movement, shift of 6 or 7% of the available freight to the large shippers has shifted from the for-hire market to their private fleet. And they've got approval to continue to buy trucks. They're hoping not to avoid the situation that they were in, during those years where the freight rates were so high. So for me, as soon as enough capacity exit the market, freight rates will get back to where they need to be. So it's remarkable to me that while, again, a pretty good level of freight has been, continued to be moved, we've had an excess number of trucks, and all those trucks still have drivers. These aren't autonomous trucks yet. So right in the middle of the driver shortage, go figure. How can we have too many? I've had too many drivers going on for 3 years. But anyway, in terms of the freight rates, I just see that purely as excess capacity, and some capacity have exited the market. We need a little more to exit and to get where we need to be.
No, I agree with you. I don't think we've had enough. I think, certainly the private fleet, I think that'll be interesting to see what happens over my career, private fleets will ebb and flow. We'll see them come and go as it makes sense.
In a few years, they'll be saying, what are we doing in the trucking business here? That's not our
I've heard that how many times? Yeah. Sort of like the oil field. I've seen that so many times too. It pops and then it goes away. And from a trucking perspective, at least.
Yeah.
So, I also have seen a huge influx of independent contractors or owner operators that run under their own authority over the last 3 or 4 years, and a lot of those people are going to have to come across some hard times here. They're already struggling, and I think they're finding ways to stay in industry or in operations that normally they wouldn't be able to. And we've seen rises in factoring companies. Previously maybe 10% of the industry at best was factoring, and now it's more like 90% of the industry is factoring. So you're not having to make decisions around cash flow that you would have to have made 20 years ago. You're just getting cash right now, so you don't have to have that business savvy that you once had. You can make decisions that are just go out and haul a load, and you get, whether it's profitable or not doesn't necessarily matter, you just get cash. So you might not make the money you want to make as an owner operator. So I agree with your side. I was just adding in that extra flavor of my independent contractor / owner operator piece to it. So
yeah, the owner operators, and many of them bought trucks when the used truck prices were so high.
Right.
And now many of them owe more on the truck than they can sell it for, which means they can't get out. The bank doesn't want the truck back either.
No.
They can't sell the truck. So
that's another reason why we have so many trucks, is the bank doesn't want it back. So the owner of the truck isn't actually making a regular truck payment. They may be in arrears many, many months, if not longer. And the bank is just saying, hold on to it because we don't want it back. And at some point that might not work out for them, but right now it's working for them. So
they're just looking to be the one who hangs on.
Right.
Till they can see enough additional capacity to exit.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk. I mean, that kind of leads me into some operational challenges things. I mean, obviously trucking companies and brokerages and owner operators have been fighting a battle over the last 3 years to stay alive. And I actually kind of made a post on LinkedIn today about that. But around that, can you share one of your struggles? So just something that you overcome, an operational struggle or challenge, a story about that when that comes to mind that you fought your way through and succeeded.
Struggles we fought our way through with the customer, or we've come through as
whatever comes to mind. Just so it's specifically just a time when McLeod Software has overcome a significant operational challenge.
Well, certainly since we started from scratch and began to grow, we've been through several levels of company organization and management. So constantly getting a stream of new ideas, and then networking with other executives that are meeting the similar challenges. That's a real key. You can't make all the mistakes yourself. You want to learn from other people's mistakes, as you grow. So making the right personnel decisions, handling sticky personnel, issues properly, being generous with people, being dependable, being somebody that people can count on to do what you say you're going to do. That's how you build trust and long-term relationships with employees and as well as with customers, as well as other suppliers to the industry. Many of the integration partners that we work with, in general, you've got to spend less than you take in. That's my number one rule of business.
A good one.
But there's times when you've got to, violate that rule on a particular transaction in order to make good on a commitment that you've made to customers. So in terms of, what I feel like has gotten us through, times when times are tough, it's those principles that, stand you in good stead and continue to allow you to move forward. In this last couple of years, while we've haven't seen quite as many new customers coming our way, The fact that we've been able to grow, entirely, from internal revenue and revenue growth. We have no debt. We've maintained profitability. That's allowing us to navigate pretty nice what would otherwise be considered a pretty good downturn. And the companies that install our product for various reasons tend to be the better managed companies in the industry. So while some of them are seeing some revenue challenges, we've seen really very small number of companies actually doing what I'm saying, exiting the market, because they're in a better position.
Yeah,
see what's going on. They can make the most of the efficiency with the freight that's available. And so we've been able to, again, navigate pretty well even through the last couple of years.
Oh, great answer. So I think we'll take a couple minute break here. When we come back, if anyone has questions for Tom, feel free to send them in while we're on break or when we get back. And we'll probably jump into some questions on AI and how it impacts logistics, where McLeod's going with AI. But we'll return in just a couple minutes.
My mom and dad's favorite time of the year was right now. Every year we had one of these and we tried to fill it full of toys for underprivileged children at the time of Christmas. We've been very successful in years past, collecting in upwards of $10,000 worth of toys for them children. So I ask you this year, can you give me 1 toy, 2 toys, 3 toys, 4 toys, $5, $10, $50, whatever is in your budget to help me fill this up and deliver the joy of the season to those that might not see it.
Here's how you can help. Drop off a new unwrapped toy or check at any Kottke Trucking terminal. Please make checks payable to Kottke Trucking with trucks and toys in the memo line. You can also drop off toys or checks at any freight movement event on or before December 5th. If you can't make it to a Kottke Trucking terminal, please reach out to sales@glcs.net for alternative options. If your fleet's downtime looks like chaos, you're missing out on GLCS. In the fast-paced world of trucking and logistics, time is everything. Meet GLCS, your expert partner in managed IT services. We integrate seamlessly with your team, bringing seasoned IT professionals with deep transportation and logistics expertise. Imagine your software updates running smoothly, complex issues resolved quickly, and operations humming with efficiency. GLCS has your back. Our support doesn't just fix problems, it prevents them. With our industry connections and proactive approach, we keep your trucks rolling and your brokers working. Think of us as the added resource your company needs to unleash its full potential. Visit glcs.net today and keep your business driving forward. GLCS, where efficiency meets expertise.
Remember.
Honor. Teach.
Give the gift of remembrance. Sponsor a $17 Veterans Wreath for an American hero. Learn more at wreathsacrossamerica.org.
And we're back with a question. So this question, it's from Jeff Hinkle. So he's wondering what differentiates McLeod from its nearest competitors. I think that's a good question, Tom.
Well, of course, we could spend the next hour talking about that. I appreciate that question. There's a couple of things. One is the fact that we've got many competitors that are, I'll just say, sitting on their old technology, and very little new stuff is coming out, whereas we're doing 2 major releases a year, so constant stream of new capability, new functionality, new functions that continue to make the trucking company more and more efficient. A big differentiator is how broad our product is, how broad the footprint is in terms of functionality for the trucking company or the freight brokers. We've got a very strong market share of the freight brokerage market to help the freight broker be more efficient. But there's several modules that we incorporate and have developed from scratch that our competitors typically have to go to third party for integrations. One is our document management product, which we've had for 30 years. Transportation is a very paperwork intensive business. Well, a lot of that paper's been moved to electronic, and we move that around, and we've used that also as the foundation of our workflow engine. So we've got our own user configurable workflow engine integrated with the product that we've developed, and allows the company to get more efficient from that standpoint. EDI still drives a lot of business.
Right.
Still, tremendous amount to have that fully integrated, to have that performing all the validations, and being able to set up transaction sets that go direct to your trading partner, not having to go through third parties, is a tremendous time saver and expense saver. So modules like this with our IQ product, our business intelligence product, allows configurable dashboards. We're seeing customers do some really amazing things, not having to use a third party. It's fully integrated. We do the data warehouse ahead of time. It can be extended, by an IT staff, or by somebody that's just good, even with an Excel spreadsheet, can use the Microsoft Power BI product. And then we've added a fully embedded API that allow a company to address spot needs that they may have to better serve one of their customers. So having that fully integrated and developed, in the ERP product, really puts our carriers at an advantage when they're going to serve the needs of their customers and respond to their requests.
No, I think that's a great answer. I would say I'm going to add to it a little bit. We work with a lot of companies that have a lot of TMS. I mean, we support about 300 companies right now that work with TMSs, and McLeod does a great job supporting their customers. So Tom said earlier that they listen to their companies, they listen to their customers, and that they support them well. And being one of the top TMSs in the industry, they do a fine job of that. So not only is it the solution set that they bring forward, but for me to state that, especially like this in this particular forum, that means a lot. They have 2 or 3 layers of customer service built in to service every customer. There's 3 sets of eyes or 2 sets of eyes on every customer at McLeod. And this is not a sponsored podcast. I don't do sponsorships. I'll also state that out there. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's roll into some questions on AI that I have. I know that McLeod is rolling down that direction. Actually, first off, I'm gonna congratulate you. I think I was at FreightWaves F3, and McLeod won the Freight Tech Top 25, actually number 16 spot. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Actually, I meant to count how many customers or partners were in the top 25. It's the vast majority of them. So of GLCSs. So in some fashion or another, we are partnered with, or they are our customers. At least 15, if not more than that, are in the top 25. So we were excited to see that. But congratulations on that. Can you chat about some misconceptions, and I'll probably chime in plenty on this as well, about using AI in transportation logistics?
Well, some of the things that the new large language models, the chat GPTs, can do are so, visibly remarkable that, people can jump to the conclusion, oh, these things can figure anything out.
Right.
but really they can't. They're models that are trained and can do certain things, and then have to be trained and extended. I think there's no question that over time they are going to continue to do more and more remarkable things. But for me, they're really just an extension of what we've been doing all along, which was, let's make the operation a little more efficient. If the truck's already been dispatched, let's print the freight bill from the information in the system and not make somebody sit down and type everything again. If we've got the truck dispatched, we've got the driver's pay rate, let's automate the printing of that paycheck. So all of these steps in the improvements in efficiency and productivity, the AI will simply be an extension of that. It's just another computer program. It can be expensive, it can be free to, try out some stuff on Chat GPT, and some of the other large language models. But, the companies that are developing these products are investing hundreds of millions of dollars to make them go, and they're looking for a revenue stream coming back. And so some of the products rolling out, are going to reflect that. So it'll be something that happens over time. It's not that, by middle of January next year, bam, everybody's going to be using AI. But I would say you need to get on the train, and you need to start looking, because there are going to be tools that are going to have some immediate application and that will be able to improve the operation. And the companies that want to compete need to stay up on there and keep their productivity levels continue moving up.
So you said it probably better than I could have, but almost verbatim. And I struggle with AI on many platforms, and it's a common topic. It's a topic that I honestly have a conversation about with one customer or another nearly every day. And I actually have a group that I'm speaking with right now that, instead of cleaning up processes, they're looking at using an AI solution to clean up their process. And obviously my response to that is, that's not going to solve your problem. That's probably going to create a lot more of a problem. So what's your thought on something like that, where you have a trucking company that has dirty processes? They feel like they have an AI solution that's going to help them clean up their data, going to help them clean up their processes, and AI is the answer to that.
Yeah, this is a story that's as old as computers rolling out, which is not that old, but going back 30 or 40 years, if you've got a process that's messed up and you put a computer in, well, then you're just going to get there that much faster,
right,
with a process that's messed up. You've got to first, have good process, have reliable ways of doing things, and then you've got something you can automate and see a big pickup in efficiency. The Chat GPTs are not going to come in and take the place of your mom, make you clean up your room, and get on to you. If you don't, it'll again learn from your current process and duplicate it even faster if you're not careful. So certainly good management and good process will continue to be the key. We've really seen in the last I'd say 10 or 15 years, the early deregulation days, 80s, 90s, these were almost like the adolescent and teenage years of the industry. But we really, after year 2000 and here for the last 10 or 15 years, have seen real maturity of the management teams. And that's been the real differentiator, right, from one company to the next. And it's these management teams that will be the first to take advantage of the AI tools that are going to be available, because they will, again, bring in new jumps in productivity. Whereas, some of the companies had topped out in how much they felt like they could be more productive. Now they've got a chance to go to the next level.
Chad Olson wrote about this either today or yesterday, and he was saying how he's seeing it easier to implement automation today than what it was just even a few years ago. And that's all about people. It's all about leadership and their ability to take clean data and that change management associated with the clean data and roll it out. And I agree with you. In the last 10 years, whether it's generational or it's a mindset change or both, that's been, I think, the largest key to it. You have to get on this train, whether it's an adoption of an AI tech, or if it's just simply understanding that it's coming. It is coming. We haven't necessarily we haven't discovered all the use cases for it yet, but I use some form of an LLM every day, all the time, and I like the term co-intelligence. I throw ideas at it all the time. I don't copy paste anything from it, but I like it because it can hit me back with 20 or 30 different thoughts and different things that I've sculpted it and taught it to think in the best way, like me. So that co-intelligence term I like the best. But I love that you brought that up, in the fact that in the last 10 years we've seen management teams, leadership teams start to become more capable at implementing this. And you've probably seen that on the TMS side too. So TMS has had struggled for a while on implementation. The leadership teams really, it takes some clean leadership to make that go smoothly. And the difference between an easy implementation and a difficult one, and that lots of times has to do with leadership. So
yeah, and so having your act together, having your house in order, certainly put you in position to take advantage of the new stuff. One of our goals as a software company is make the advanced technology available to companies of all sizes. We work with some of the very largest trucking companies in the country, but over half of our customers are 100 trucks or less. They're smaller operations, 30,
Sure.
40, 50 trucks. But if when they're well run, they can turn on technology and use the tools and be able to respond to the requests they're getting from their customers, which is also part of what's driving the need for technology and the need to be able to do these things. So we're set up to work hand in glove for our companies of large and small, mid-market, these companies that are so important to the diversity that's in the freight industry, and we hope to contribute to allowing it to be a healthy diversity that's able to continue for years to come.
No, that's a great setup and a perfect perfect alignment, I think. So I know we're coming to the end of our time here, so I'm gonna maybe do one or two more questions and threaten to go over time just a little bit. So because I want to ask at least two more questions. What trends or innovations do you see shaping the next 10 years in transportation technology? I know we kind of talked about AI a little bit, and obviously that's an answer, but what's your thoughts around that?
Well, yeah, certainly AI will continue to be, and really it's just now getting started. So we'll see, I think, some big change coming out through AI. As companies move more and more of their applications to the cloud, which is where we are and where we're going and continuing to go, applications will continue to get redesigned and taking advantage of the new user interfaces that streamline processes, can shorten training times, can improve, again, productivity and efficiencies, and help, as I said earlier, serve up the right information to the right person at the right time to get better decisions made. Some of those decisions will get more and more automated or more and more suggested or suggestible. That's one thing we're doing within our product, again, to shorten the time and improve the productivity from operations all the way through to accounting at the trucking company.
So that you basically are leaning on just compressing, just making things faster, the automation, that's the large push. I mean, I agree with you there. Faster, 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 more. I mean, that's largely the way that I see it too. And then something I want to add to that, and my thought is we categorize AI as this huge holistic look at AI. But I think what ultimately it's going to come out as is these independent pieces. You look at, yesterday, Happy Robot received 15.6 million in a Series A, and I'm not sure if you're very familiar with Happy Robot or not, but they're a bot.
I do know them, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to go down the road because most people that listen are probably going to be aware of them. So that's a component of AI. So I feel like AI is going to have different pieces to it, and we're not going to call AI for a whole lot longer. We're going to have something else that's going to be a part of it that AI is going to be the component of. It's going to be like Microsoft, but it's Windows and something like that. So right now we have this blanket term that includes an LLM, but I feel like in the very near term we're going to be shifting the way that we look at that, and it's going to have a whole bunch of solutions that we didn't necessarily feel or have because we weren't able to select them before. It's sort of like moving from DVD to streaming video. None of us thought we could do it, and then it happened. So
yeah.
So the final question. What's next for McLeod? What's next for McLeod Software? You have anything big in store in the near future?
Well, continuing to improve our products, that's pretty big to us. We 2 major releases a year, and lots of new functions and functionality, certainly better tools for the dispatcher. We're not going to get to a point where you've got the computer system making all the decisions and loading your trucks and finding the empty loads. The computer system will continue to be a tool that helps the people in operations especially be able to make better decisions and do more with the assets. And that gets to a sustainability, helps to improve the use of assets overall. But a couple of new technologies come down the pike that we're watching very closely. One, of course, is electronic vehicles, and one is autonomous vehicles. Really, autonomous has been a little slower. We thought we would be seeing much more autonomous trucks in actual applications these days. We've still got 1 or 2 that are looking to roll out service in the first quarter of next year on a very specific lane from Dallas to Houston.
Right. Right.
And we have been in discussion for a couple of years for integration, because there'll still be commercial information that you've got to have to tender the load. For even for that leg, you've got to keep track of the leg where a driver got it up to the on-ramp of the interstate, and another driver met it at the off-ramp and traveled to the final destination. Those drivers have to be paid. The customer has to be billed. And then right now the operator has to be paid for that middle leg. A lot of commercial things going on, plus the ability of the trucking company, the people that have the load, have visibility of where that is. So that's one big thing. And it really remains to be seen how that's going to affect the business models in the industry as a whole.
I agree on that one. I know Aurora pushing back a year. I think, I don't know if we were surprised or not surprised, but that year pushback, and I guess we'll see what happens next year with that. But I think all of us were thinking autonomous, especially in those southern U.S. lanes. We were going to see some pilots that were going to start happening. It's good to know that McLeod is playing in that space. So I was curious who was actually going to be playing in that space. I know there's a couple products kind of coming to market that are considering that space, but that seems pretty niche considering there's no trucks operating that way yet. So yeah. So that's interesting. So Tom, once again, I appreciate you being on. This has been a great hour. The time always flies by extremely fast. Appreciate you coming on. Anything in closing that you'd like to state?
I just express my gratitude to the industry. We've just had such great welcome and reception from the industry as a whole. It's been great to participate in the national organizations, the American Trucking Association, the Truckload Carriers, the Transportation Intermediaries Association. These are very vital to educating companies on how to improve their operations, very vital to us to keep us up to speed on the issues that are coming down the pike. And we're just glad to be playing a part in an industry that means so much to the U.S. economy.
Perfectly said. And I'm going to record that and say it again myself. So that's beautifully said. So, Tom, I look forward to seeing you in the near future, wherever that may be. I wish you a Merry Christmas. And somewhere shortly after the first of the year, I hope I see you and we can have a chat. So this has been a wonderful time.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it. Have a happy Merry Christmas and see you soon.
All right. Take care. All right. We're going to wrap this one up. That's Tom McLeod, everybody. That was a great discussion. Once again, I'm going to say it, absolute legend in the industry. So a lot of insight there. I think I could have talked with Tom for hours upon hours. So next week, Thursday, December 12th, we're going to have a cybersecurity panel with Ben Barnes, actually the CIO from McLeod Software. So 2 weeks of McLeod. Wade Anderson, the CIO of Bay & Bay, and Joel Carlson with Pro Circular. December 19th, we're wrapping up 2024 with the crew that we opened it up with back in January. We'll be looking at our predictions that we made back in January and chatting about all that's happened over the last year, pretty much doing a post-mortem or what I call a post-mortem on what I'd call another rough year for our industry. So upcoming events tonight, it's not too late to sign up. Freight Movement is hosting a Frosty Freight event, this time in Eagan, Minnesota. It's tonight, so Thursday, December 5th, at Lone Oak Grill at 6 p.m. It's Christmas and holiday themed. We're excited to partner with our sponsors, Williams and Associates. Also, Transport USA. We're having a Best Ugly Christmas Sweater contest. Wear your best or worst ugly Christmas sweater to win a prize. Enjoy a complimentary caricature artist as well. And indulge in seasonal fare while connecting with fellow logistics professionals. From owner-operators to fleet managers, everybody's welcome. Come celebrate the season. Also, bring a toy or a monetary donation to assist Kottke Trucking and the Minnesota Trucking Association for their trucks and toys drive for the 2024 season. If you'd like to help, you can drop off an unwrapped toy or monetary donation at our event this evening. National Wreaths Across America Day is December 14th. That's next weekend on Saturday. If you haven't participated in Wreaths Across America Day, you certainly should. It's a humbling experience. We at JLCS will be participating throughout the country, and our team here in Minneapolis will be at the Fort Snelling National Cemetery. It's not too late to support our mission. Please do so at wreathsacrossamerica.org. If you're going to Manifest and need a ticket, please use our code manifestvegas.com/freight movement. And speaking of Manifest, Freight Movement and Broker Carrier Summit have teamed up and will be holding an after-hours event at Manifest. We have sponsorship opportunities available for this event and actually future events coming up. If you're interested in sponsoring an event, please reach out to us at drivingforward@glcs.net. That's it for this episode. Once again, thank you to McLeod Software and Tom McLeod. This has been wonderful. Stay curious, stay informed, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.